All right, you're welcome back. As information communication technology opens citizens and users on the net of opportunities, there are threats as well. In these days of increased social media activities, how do we promote a secured digital space? We have our guest seated already in the studio to speak to the matters.
Let's welcome Victor Idono, Cybersecurity Challenge Nigeria Initiative. Victor, pleasure to have you this morning.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Also here with us, we'd like to welcome Rumana Kabir Aminu, She Tech for Africa Initiative.
Thank you.
Ramana, pleasure to have you.
All right, let's start with Rumana Kabir Aminu. How threatening is it to navigate the cyberspace today?
The cyberspace is full of so many people you don't know, people you've never met. You might know other people. So these days, creating awareness is one of the major factors for people to be safer on the internet. Yes.
Okay. Well, as you mentioned, there are many people in the cyberspace, right? But how dangerous it is, because you are not creating awareness on what Nigerians should do or not to do to avoid being either duped or or somebody hacking into your account, or as case maybe. How bad is it, in the cyberspace?
There are measures that should be taken. Like we have preventive measures. Some of the preventive measures are creating awareness, and then for tech companies, when those hardwares are, for example, more secured.
Okay. Romana, thank you very much. For both of you, that's Victor and Romana, let's hark back to what used to happen. We use the phrase now, navigate the cyberspace. Navigation was more useful in the early days of shipping and, of course, traversing the oceans and the seas, which was what man did first before even automobiles were built, and then before he started having also aircraft. And there were many accidents on the high seas. One of the warning signals that came out at the time was, beware, for here there be monsters. If you didn't see an iceberg, for instance, before your ship ran into it, you wouldn't know. And of course, there's still the so-called Bermuda Triangle that continues to be a source of interest for those who have that as part of their study. What are the monsters out there in cyberspace?
Thank you very much. Now, there are a lot of monsters in the cyberspace because you don't know who you're dealing with when you get to the internet space. You don't know who is good, you don't know who is bad. You don't know who your target enemy is, you don't know who is out there to steal your data, your confidential info, your personal data, and all of that. So there are a lot of persons, cyber threat actors, that are just out there looking for every possible data they could capture and obtain from you so they could use them against you. Either stealing your personal banking financial data so they could gain access to your financial info. Like in the Nigerian space of today, lots of attacks are targeting towards our personal emails, our personal social media accounts, because they know that is where we have an online presence. That is where our followers are. So if they could gain access to that, they know they've taken huge chunk and it's a big blow to you. So a lot of these monsters are out there looking for your personal info, looking for your social media access, and looking for every possible means to even carry out what we call identity theft. They will steal your identity so as to mimic you, so as to say things or post things online that you're not even aware of. The aim is just totally towards aimed at cyberbullying, to ensure that you begin to develop low self-esteem. You begin to feel bad about yourself. You begin to lose your financial info. So all of these are things they target. Then there are other threat monsters that target your digital devices, your digital assets. How can they take it down? How can they introduce ransomware into your environment, into your devices, such that at the end of the day, you're being forced to pay a ransom? So these are the things that they look at.
Well, I think on this issue of identity stealing, honestly happened to me, where I saw my name and myself being used to advertise one generating site, as if I have endorsed the generation site, and my friends were calling me to say, look, are you now into the business of electric generating set? But I said no, right? I have to now make a call directly to the guys because I got their number to say, look, what are you doing? He said, yes, do we know him? We know him where he's working for us. I said, look, I am the person you are talking about, my friend. I have not endorsed anything and all of that. So I have actually experienced that aspect. Is that also part of cyberbullying? And if that is the case, how can people who are in this space, for instance, myself or Kingsley or any other person, how would you now protect yourself? How would you guard against that? Is there anything you could do to protect yourself, protect your information from being taken away from you?
Victor, just before you comment, and Romana, with the kind leave of my co-presenter, Kirian, you already said something about cyberbullying. What is cyberbullying? Before we say about how you protect yourself, for those who might not know, what is cyberbullying?
Okay, cyberbullying is like an act or a process whereby someone goes to your social media page, maybe under your comment section, that person like deliberately posts something derogatory or something just to harass you, just to make you feel bad. So that's cyberbullying.
Victor,
Just to bring your self-esteem down.
What are these social media pages? I mean, if I'm not, for instance, part of a WhatsApp group, how can you bully me? Is it on Instagram? Is it on a website? Is it I don't know, Twitter? What is cyberbullying? Let's get your own perspective.
All right, just to add to what she said, cyberbullying covers every form of deliberate attack using digital platforms. So it can be on social media, it can be via SMS. You may not even necessarily be on any social media platform. In as much as you're riding on someone's ego, someone's privacy, you're trying to talk the person down, you're trying to make the person feel so bad about him or herself. You're trying to find every possible means to forcefully get information from the person. E.g., if you don't do this, I will do this. The moment you're beginning to hold someone to ransom, using a digital platform. It's not a one-on-one conversation. That is cyberbullying. And this happens a lot. And a lot of times, children are victims to this. Even adults are. But children are the primary target because attackers, like the monsters you made mention of earlier, they are out there to see how they could. The parents of these children that they can't directly have access to, they know the children are not knowledgeable to that extent. So they tend to target the children, extract info from them. And these are some of the areas when it comes to cyberbullying.
Okay, back to my question, how can this be avoided?
Now, when it comes to cyberbullying and how you can avoid it, you have to be articulate with whatever your actions are. Because first of all, you need to understand the aim of the actor, that is the attacker. What specifically is he looking out for? If he's trying to troll you or he's trying to bully you, most of the time, the best you can do is report it to the platform where this is taking place. For example, it's happening on a social media, say Facebook, and someone is trying to bully you, report the message. If it's happening on your own page, you can delete it or you block the person entirely. Most times, if you think you have nothing to do about it, just go offline. Because the more you're online, the more the person keeps you actively engaged and the more he or she will try to provoke you to, making further comments.
What is trolling?
Trolling is most people that troll, their main goal, trolling and cyberbullying, they all use the same method of going to someone's maybe comment section and passing other harassing comments on that person. But for trolling, their goal is just to cause attention. They are like attention seekers or to disrupt a conversation going on. And they do that mostly on communities. For example, when you have a community, maybe that are focused on discussing maybe geography or something. And then a troller, when he comes, what they do is he might say, okay, the art is flat. We all know that the art is spherical. So something like that just to cause attention.
Disruptive intrusion. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Now, okay. Yeah, Kira, you know, I'm sure you must have read this. I mean, I see those comments from time to time. Celebrities, some of them, you know, who are in show business in Nigeria, some of them brag about the number of followers that they have, and at another time you hear some of them quarreling over these things that they will say that I will no longer respond to you. What are those kinds of things? Are they just activities to boost their presence in the public imagination, or what? Or these are actually real acts that one should worry about?
Now, sometimes those are direct attack on them. People try to spur their anger towards they speaking up on the issues they wouldn't on a normal day want to speak on. So the aim of the troller is to cause chaos. Let me say something that is provocative and force you to react. It's something you cannot see and neglect. That is the content they post. So sometimes a lot of these popular stars are the primary target, political, of public office holders. So they just go there, say something that you have no choice, you just want to react. So sometimes for the stars you made mention of, some of them, some are legit, but some because they want to trend, because they want to be in that space, they will manually create this, and so people will comment, and it will generate a buzz.
Yes.
Or sometimes what they do is they like check people that have massive followers on social media. So they now go to that comment section and post something because they know they have so many people viewing it, so as to get that attention.
Okay, now what are the roles of technology, companies in online bullying and harassment? Are they going to be held responsible? For instance, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, the owners of all those companies, would they be held responsible in terms of bullying or harassment on cyberspace?
In this case, it's a bit tricky. It comes to what we call jurisdiction rules, the laws guiding every jurisdiction. For example, the Facebook highest they can do is to introduce moderative filtering capabilities, features on their platform, such that when certain words come up, they easily take it down. When certain kind of videos come up, they easily, using the algorithm, identify that this is targeting cyberbullying or trolling, and they take it down. So their major rules is to ensure that there are filtering mechanisms in place to take down any form of detected cyberbullying or trolling. Then they should be able, for hardware providers, they should be able to bring devices or release devices to end users such that they are pre-configured already with privacy, minimum BRS privacy features in place. Because sometimes the end user is not really aware of how to configure the system. And when you're setting up, you just tend to use default settings. And these default settings, if you're not aware that you need to turn off the camera of your PC, it becomes a challenge. So technology companies, they can assist in this area by, one, trying as much as possible to moderate all communications on their platform. You can't really hold them responsible because there's also a clause that says there's freedom of speech. So the best you can do is identify every speech that comes on your platform and take it down if it targets cyberbullying.
Well, there have been instances in Europe, for instance, where some of these tech companies have been fined heavily. And we have also had that experience in the US, but less so in Africa. Is it that we don't understand what the dynamics are just yet, so that where there are infractions, there will be liability? Yes,
in Africa we do, but the challenge is its implementation. For example, there's the Nigerian data protection policy, right? And how many companies actually comply? NIDA is doing a lot to ensure that companies are compliant with all of this in place, but it is not, we are not there yet, because a lot of persons are not even aware of the challenges this can pose to them. So it's only those that are related, in Nigeria at the moment, it's only issues that relate to financials that are majorly taken with full action More like if it's not relating to financial issues, people don't really pay attention to it. Like today we're still battling with privacy issues. A lot of persons, they collect your data and they sell it to the public or to their customers, client, etc. And there's really no one following it up because the implementation is not fully in place yet. Until you meet someone who is willing to find or fine you, there's really nothing anyone is doing about it. So that level of implementation, which I believe this is also one of the reasons why NICDA is putting up this program in place to ensure that there's a lot more cybersecurity awareness. Let people be aware of their rights and how to ensure that everyone is safe.
Now, Romana, we are dealing with promoting a secure digital space. Now, how would this security, how do we achieve this security? Is it going to be individual or collective digital space security? How would it be achieved? Or is there any role that NIDA is supposed to play, to ensure that the digital space is secured in Nigeria?
It's an ecosystem. Everybody is supposed to be, is everybody's concern. Security is everybody's concern. Both the people, tech companies, organizations are all supposed to come together in order to achieve a secured digital economy. So NITDA is doing much in terms of trainings, awareness, and then trying to bridge the gap in online activities.
Okay, yeah, Victor, still on that same question that my colleague Kieran posed. We hear of Yahoo boys, the so-called Yahoo hustle. How does that relate to this? Of course, at some time in the past, it was fashionable for them to be targeting victims outside of our shores. But I mean, you probably get some bogus calls from time to time, say that this is basically from your bank. This one, we have this information. They will give you all the data. So by the time you ask one question, the person starts fumbling and you cut off the conversation. So what is the linkage between Yahoo and, with apologies to the original Yahoo company, what is the linkage between that and cyber security or cyber safety?
Now, there is a huge linkage between the two. At the moment, in Nigeria, sometimes back, it started with Yahoo. Then it advanced to Yahoo Plus, as they call it. Now, a lot of Nigerians, they are skilled. If you ask me, Nigerians are skilled all over the world. And in Nigeria, they are really not fully engaged, especially the youths. So what they do is they spend a lot of time on the internet. Today you can learn of virtually anything on the internet. So when they acquire this skill set, they really do not have a legit platform to utilize this skill set. They are now forced to use their time because they are really not doing anything. And they now begin to find ways of utilizing their skill set that they've just acquired to make money. E.g., the younger ones will go looking for Facebook accounts, email accounts they could gain access to, which we mentioned earlier, and see who they could sell it to for a token. And the moment it's successful, they are now looking for more accounts to attack. Now, the more advanced guys, they are looking for financial records, financial credentials they could steal. So all of this happen in the cyberspace. And for Nigerian youths, it's becoming more and more prominent because it's now becoming a trend. Every young person coming up wants to do something on the internet that is relating to Yahoo in the name of Bitcoin or name it and all manner. But at the end of the day, what they are doing is more of social engineering, stealing people's data and seeing how they could sell it. So what can we do about it is another question which I may talk about.
Yeah, you address it straight away. Yes. And in addressing it, I mean, tell us, is there a policeman of the cyberspace?
Exactly. We have, because we have to, at the end of the day, try to provide a solution.
That's right.
Yeah. So
One of the solutions is that awareness, because most of the times this Yahoo that you mentioned, once you pick the call and they now discover that okay, you are aware that okay, these are Yahoo boys, they immediately cut off the call. Yes.
Okay, on the solution.
So solutions, there are two things we can look at. We look at the threat actors and we look at the victims. For the threat actors, there are a lot of young persons. Nigeria have a young population of youths that are actively engaged in this. How can we bring them into the positive side to become defensive to help us protect our digital economy. That is what we now do in what we run at Cybersecurity Challenge Nigeria initiative. We identify skill set from Nigerians, young Nigerians, that are actively interested in IT, in InfoSec, and we train them, we bring them up, we think of ways to rehabilitate them, and we give them certifications. Then afterwards, we link them up to opportunities, e.g., companies to employ them. We make them realize that, look, this skill you've acquired, you can actually utilize it in a legit environment and get paid instead of using it to cause havoc out there. So first of all, what you need is the right certifications, the right legal compliant info. Gather them, have them, so you can be gainfully employed by either the public or the private sector. So now we look at the victims. From the victims' end, we have to focus on a lot of awareness. And awareness do not focus on a particular group alone, because cybersecurity is everybody's business. From the children to the elderly, whatever group you belong, there's always a target. There's always an attacker targeting you per time. So awareness should never stop. It should be as massive as possible. We should keep doing the cybersecurity awareness.
What are the ingredients of this awareness? Because sometimes you open some sites, or you are filling the fields in some questionnaire or some form or whatever, and then you are told, oh, your password is not strong enough, or your password is weak, alter it, and so on and so forth. So how do you deal? Of course, I mean, if it's not a compulsory thing, I get out of those locations very quickly. But how then do you deal with it? I just mentioned one now, password theft.
Yes.
Which, and if they say your password is not strong enough, change it. Whose advice should you follow in such circumstances?
Now, when you want to focus on that, you have to ensure that it's not just restricted to passwords. A lot of times we use our names, our spouses, our dates of birth, even our mobile numbers as our passwords, which is not safe or secure at all. So we have to ensure there are policies we have to follow. There are guides. E.g., your password must be 8 characters length. It must carry alphanumeric keys. It should be a combination of different characters. That is for password. Then how about two-factor authentication? A lot of us do not enable two-factor authentication on their digital devices, on their social media platforms, or on their online accounts. So we should ensure we always...
Explain those, what you just said.
Okay. Now, there is what we call two-factor authentication, 2FA. That is, for you to gain access to your own account or your own device, there should be another notification. Just like, okay, the popular one that we all know is the bank token that is provided by the banks. For you to gain access to your account, for you to make a transaction, you need a second verification to verify that, yes, you are the actual owner of that account. That is where your token comes in. Put in the 6 digits from your token. So online platforms, your Facebook, your email, name it, they also have these features implemented, 2FAs. So implementing your 2FA will further secure your various either devices or online accounts. Then two, another angle is how are we savvy when it comes to email? Because when it comes to email, a lot of us are into the business world. This is another strata now. So we must ensure that what are the things we have to do to ensure that our emails are safe and secure? What links should we click? How can we verify an email before even opening the attachment at all? Because a lot of times we receive attachments, and if you have a good antivirus, it may alert you that this email is carrying an attachment of a malicious application. But sometimes you may receive it on your mobile device. So you ensure what are the things you need to do. How do you verify that an email is malicious, is intended to you? Because sometimes it's not looking at just the name. You may look at the name, it may be purporting to be from a particular organization. Meanwhile, behind the real email is something else that it's somewhere it's coming from.
Then, what actually happens when you begin to receive information or messages on your email from people you never met before, people you didn't exchange your email address with, and what have you? Is it part of the lack of security we're talking about? You know, you see a lot of mails in your email coming from people you have not met, people you don't know, right? So how does that happen?
Another strategy is that, for example, when you enter your username and your password, there's a verification link that is being sent into your email in order to verify whether you are the real owner of that email or not, or that account you have created. So that is it.
But how do people now get into your email and be sending you all kinds of messages that you didn't subscribe to?
There's a platform for that where people could get a pool of people's email where they can just pull out from there to send like a broadcast email to everybody that is on that mailing list.
Okay, Victor, you are itching to say something?
No, on that, a lot of organizations too are not cyber savvy enough. Sometimes they just focus their intellect and their capacity on top management staff, forgetting about maybe the secretary who is responsible for sending out emails. So take, for example, an organization opens up a program, say an event, and people registered with their emails. And now the secretary that is not cyber savvy enough wants to send an email to these participants. He or she ends up copying everybody in OpenCC. That automatically, you're revealing people's private email to the general public. And anybody on that list can copy all of those emails and add to their email database. And the next thing, you start receiving unsolicited emails.
You know, Kilian, what we are discussing now, sometimes in Nigeria, we take things for granted. Yes, there are reasons for doing it. You go to certain functions, if not virtually all functions, and at the secretariat desk, that is to say at the reception,
Yes.
you would have a form indicating attendance. And there are many columns. Your first column, of course, will be the serial number 1. The next column will be your name. Second column will be your affiliation, that's your organization. They will ask for your telephone number. They will ask for your for your email address. And then the last column will be signature. I often wonder the necessity for that. If I received an invitation from you to attend your event, why are you looking for my email address again? So how should we get around this? Because sometimes these are open sources. I mean, you never can tell if a malicious third party comes to such an event and he sees your name, or your name is next to his, and he says, oh, okay, pretending to be also entering his own,
Yes.
and then just dubbing your own contacts. That is the kind of exposure that we get in Nigeria. How do we get around it? Because oftentimes it's an event issue.
Okay, now most times this happens because of one, low level of awareness. A lot of persons in Nigeria, which is our space at the moment, we prefer manual method. It's not even restricted to only conferences alone. You go to a lot of offices. From the gate, you're manually filling in all of these credentials you just mentioned. And someone could come in, purporting to get into the organization, and is having access to the list, the database of all the persons that have visited that organization for that day, even the previous day, because sometimes they just rule it and they continue again. So all of these are publicly available. How can we mitigate it? That's why we have to bring in digital form. If you're going for an event, there's no need manually rewriting your credentials at a registration point. All you simply need to do, you've gotten a verification email. You can go by showing what you have, what have been sent to you via email. So with that, we can actually curb it, but it will still need a lot of awareness for Nigerians to actually take that step forward by moving from the manual to the digital.
I think in the last program by NITSDA, it was the RFID tag that was used to take attendance in the last, was it 2019 or 2019? Yes.
What's RF? So you said the RF
ID.
Yeah, what is that? Tell us. What does RF mean?
Radio frequency.
Is it radio frequency or
way of identifying someone?
or Radio France? I don't know which of
No,
them.
it's a radio frequency tag that grants you access. It's basically for access control.
Okay.
So if you have one, you don't need to press anything, you don't need to impute anything, except it has been automated to maybe 2-factor. But with just that, you can just scan it and you go. It's just like a
Once you have
barcode.
the tag, once you have the RFID on the tag, as you pass, it scans and it automatically registers you.
Pre-configured.
Precisely.
Okay, okay. Victor Idon, Cybersecurity Challenge Nigeria Initiative, we thank you so much. As a matter of fact, I think this guy knows a lot about.
Yeah, absolutely. He's an IT expert. Young man. I'm sorry, I'm not patronizing.
He's loaded. Even Romana Kabira Aminu, Tech for Africa Initiative, you're also very knowledgeable in this. We'd like to thank you for being here this morning.
Okay.
At least I've learned one or two things, from you as well. All right, let's go to sports. So we heard that Napoli forward and goal magnet Victor Osimhen, as at the time of filing this report, is the latest to